Your life through every rank in the United States Marine Corps, from mud to eternal legend. You've never truly lived until a drill instructor, after 13 weeks of pure hell, locks eyes with you, voice raw from endless screaming, and calls you Marine for the very first time. That single word hits harder than any bullet. It isn't the end of training, it's the beginning of everything else. From that moment on, you will never be like anyone else walking this earth. Picture this. You're an 8-year-old kid, long hair, graphic tee, sneakers, living an ordinary small-town life. Then you step through one of 2 gates on the planet that forge Marines, Paris Island or San Diego. There is no third option. Those gates don't open to welcome you. They open to destroy everything you thought you were, strip you down to bare wire, and rebuild you into something civilians will never understand. Private E1. No insignia, no chevrons, no identity. You're addressed only as recruit last name, because the word Marine is sacred here, it isn't thrown around casually. 13 weeks, the longest basic training in the US. Military. Running until your lungs burn, humping 5-0, pound packs, crawling under concertina wire, learning to survive in mud, freezing rain, and sheer exhaustion. You qualify with the M16A4 or M4 on the rifle range, and every single Marine does, whether you'll later be a cook, a mechanic, or a clerk. Doctrine is crystal clear. Every Marine is a rifleman first. Then comes the crucible. 54 hours of non-stop misery, 48 miles of marching, sleep deprivation, starvation rations, combat-simulated events that test every ounce of what the previous 12 weeks built inside you. When you finish, they hand you the eagle, globe, and anchor. Your drill instructor looks you dead in the eye and says, "Congratulations, Marine! For the first time in your life, you feel like you belong to something bigger than yourself." You make $2,047 a month. You're a private, the lowest rank in the most demanding branch. Everything starts right here. Lance Corporal, E3. This is the rank that defines the Marine Corps, the way private defines the Army. Promoted to PFC at 6 months, Lance Corporal at 9 to 12. You're the workhorse, the backbone of the infantry, the star of 1,000 dark memes. Lance Corporal Underground, E3 Mafia. You do everything and decide nothing. You carry the heaviest loads on patrol, stand the shittiest watches, get voluntold first for every working party, and you're always the last one out when it's over. You're senior enough to be trusted with responsibility, junior enough to have zero real authority. You've deployed once, maybe Okinawa UDP, maybe the sandbox, maybe aboard a MEU living in a berthing compartment the size of a closet with 30 other Marines, hitting beaches in countries you'd never heard of before the brief. 19 or 20 years old, in the best shape of your life, bored out of your skull between deployments, razor sharp when the real work starts, you're staring down the biggest decision of your young life: re-enlist or get out. And you're making it with the hard-earned wisdom of a 20-year-old who's already seen more of the world in 18 months than most civilians see in a lifetime. Corporal, E4. This is where the Marine Corps parts ways with every other service. In the Army, an E4 might be a specialist, just a senior worker. In the Corps, E4 is corporal, and corporal is a real NCO. 21 or 22 years old, you lead a fire team of 3 Marines. You are personally responsible for their training, their appearance, their discipline, their readiness, their welfare. When they screw up, you own it. When they succeed, the credit is yours too. Those 2 chevrons crossed with rifles are unique to the Corps. They mean leadership begins at the smallest unit, the fire team, the squad, the patrol. They mean a 22-year-old corporal's split-second decision on a Fallujah rooftop, a Helmand ridgeline, or a Korengal trail can decide whether 3 Marines live or die. The Corps deliberately loads disproportionate responsibility onto its youngest leaders because it believes combat leadership cannot be taught at 30. It must be forged at 22, under fire with real lives hanging on the lesson. Sergeant E5. Now you're a squad leader, 13 Marines. 3 fire teams answering to you. The sergeant is where myth and reality collide. Sergeants don't plan the war from briefing rooms. Sergeants fight it with a rifle, a radio, and 13 men who will follow them anywhere and do anything they're told. You've done 2 or 3 combat deployments. You've been in firefights. You've lost brothers or come so close the difference feels academic. You carry the NCO sword, the oldest continuously used weapon in the US, military, carried since 1859. It's ceremonial now, but the message isn't. The Corps trusts you with a blade because it trusts you with lives. You re-enlist because your first tour showed you something unexpected. The Marine Corps isn't a job you go to. It's an identity you carry. You don't work at the Corps. You are a Marine. That distinction is the whole point. Staff NCO, Staff Sergeant, and Gunnery Sergeant, E6, E7, you cross the invisible line from NCO to Staff NCO, and everything changes. As Staff Sergeant, you're the Platoon Sergeant, the senior enlisted Marine in a platoon of 40 to 50, teaching brand new lieutenants how to actually lead Marines in combat. The lieutenant has the degree and the commission. You have the scars and the mileage. As Gunnery Sergeant, Gunny, you've reached the rank that defines senior enlisted life. Gunny is the operations chief, the tactical advisor, the man who turns the commander's intent into blood and dirt on the ground. Gunny is R. Lee Ermey's Hartman in Full Metal Jacket, Clint Eastwood's Highway in Heartbreak Ridge, and every drill instructor who ever broke and rebuilt a recruit, because most DIs come from the Gunny ranks. 12 to 15 years in, 4 to 6 deployments. You stand at a career fork, technical track, Master Sergeant, Master Gunnery Sergeant, or command track, First Sergeant, Sergeant Major. One path is deep expertise. The other is the real weight becoming the senior enlisted Marine of an entire unit. First Sergeant and Sergeant Major, E8, E9. First Sergeant, top, first shirt, knows every name, every family story, every Marine in a company of 150-200 who's about to break, about to shine, about to get divorced, or about to drink himself under. Sergeant Major keeps individual Marines from becoming statistics, whether at battalion, 800-1000, regiment, 3,000-5,000, or division, 20,000. At the absolute pinnacle, Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, one person personally selected by the Commandant, serving 4 years as the voice of 180,000 Marines before generals, senators, and presidents. Company grade officers, second lieutenant to captain, 01 to 03. Every Marine officer learns infantry tactics first, no exceptions. Captain commands the company, the unit that actually fights the war, takes the hill, clears the building, holds the intersection, and pays the price in blood. 26 to 30 years old, every decision you make, in seconds, can save or cost dozens of lives younger than yours. Your first sergeant has 15 years of experience. If you're smart, he'll save your career. If you're too proud to listen, he'll quietly watch you fail. Field grade officers, major to colonel, 04 to 06. The pyramid narrows brutally. Colonel commands a regiment, 3,000 to 5,000 Marines, the Corps' historic building block for over 250 years. You stop thinking about squads and start thinking about the institution, amphibious operations, distributed maritime ops, the constitutional role as America's force in readiness, the expeditionary DNA of being first to fight anywhere on the planet within hours. General officers, Brigadier General to General, 07 to 010, Commandant sits on the Joint Chiefs, carrying 250 years of weight. Belleau Wood, 1918, Germans nicknamed Marines Teufel Hunden, Devil Dogs. Iwo Jima, the flag on Suribachi, became the most reproduced photograph in American war history. Chosin Reservoir, minus 35 degrees Fahrenheit, surrounded by Chinese. The generals reply, when asked if they were retreating, "We are attacking in a different direction." Hue City, house to house. Fallujah, block by block. Helmand and Sangin, where the British warned it was impossible, and Marines went anyway. And the cycle repeats forever. Right now, in a strip mall recruiting station somewhere in America, A 17-year-old sits across from a recruiter, a sergeant or staff sergeant, whose chest full of ribbons tells stories the kid can't yet imagine. The kid doesn't know what the crucible feels like, doesn't know the moment his drill instructor will call him Marine, doesn't know the gunny's bark, the first sergeant who knows every name, the frozen hell of Chosin, the black volcanic sand of Iwo. He only knows what everyone knows. Marines are different. The standards are higher. The title isn't given. It's earned. He signs the paper. He ships to Paris Island or San Diego, and the story begins again exactly as it has for hundreds of thousands before him, and will for as long as this nation needs. Men and women, willing to be first to fight, last to leave. You ready to walk through that gate?